Underground. Let's talk about underground. How about underground artists, underground art, underground, under fucking ground. Does that mean the same thing as indie or independent, one might ask? No, it doesn't. It has no fucking resemblance to independent, as underground is something that has like a little bit more of a different implication attached to it. And who am I to speak on this, really? Am I just somebody who's very passionate about it, and that's why I'm speaking about it, because I'm passionate about it? Perhaps. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's all that it is. Just me passionate about it, directly involved in it, thus I speak on it in this way. So I think that underground artists and independent artists not being the same and having a discernible difference between the two, well, that might be an important issue to deal with, especially with something that I would consider to be a bit of a duty of mine, a bit of an important duty of mine. Maybe I should assume the responsibility and collect the glory of triumphing over it. This is so if it's underground that I'm gonna speak on, first off, let me stop myself right there. As it seems to me that there's a bit of a extreme, supreme, very boisterous superhero culture bug going around here in this place. And let me directly attach the connotations of the word underground to that, and then immediately discern what it is that I need to discern, and then do not do all that without getting philosophical, at least not a little bit. Onto the episode now, onto the show. Let me start this off with some self-promo. Go and check out my black metal. It's at Dire Muid BM on YouTube. I'm also on SoundCloud. But this here that you're listening to is me. I'm Mickey Gemini. This is the Vault of Doom podcast. I'm putting all these episodes out only on YouTube, exclusively on YouTube. But there's some on Spotify that you can go and check out. And there will be again soon as well. So, here we go. An episode about underground. Not much of an underground scene over here, as anybody who would be even remotely considered underground, from where I stand as an underground artist myself, that I would have sought out other artists, or, sought out to make music with them, under that context, and, especially if somebody specifically asks, or something like this, but, a lot of this stuff is on my personal level that I'd never, somehow miraculously, never bring any of my own personal shit in here. Like, if I do, if I do any of it, and any of my personal stuff ever ends up in here, it's open for debate, it's open for interpretation, it's available for chat, that's open for discussion. If I bring it up, it can be discussed. So, whatever else that I could say, other than my own personal stuff, that's everything. That's everything that I'm talking about. Everything that I'm talking about has the last episode being about economy, and then, switching from money to crypto. A lot of people are switching to crypto or NFTs. And that now all the artists are uploading to Spotify and just mindlessly and aimlessly uploading to Spotify and not getting any money for it. From where I stand, I don't understand how I could possibly ever be that angry about certain things. So, whatever it is that I am angry about, or I don't understand why I wouldn't be able to talk about that. So whatever it is that I do talk about, that's stuff that is like all of it still happened right here. You still witnessed it first. You witnessed it here first, and you witnessed it firsthand of what I don't know what it takes basically to get through the time, get through the hurdle, get through the hump, get through whatever amount of time to where you can actually start to begin to decipher what's what. But here, what I have going on here is just a whole bunch of shit. Honestly, I couldn't make fucking heads or tails of it one way or the other, but whatever it is that does get written down in a specific memoir and then shared in some way, that'll be the fucking story. That'll be what the fucking story is. But for future reference, when certain weird things happen, it's extremely debatable who's on whose side of who's who. Who's who? Who am I? Who's my enemy? Who are my friends? What do I think happened here? What do they think happened here? It's all fucking the only thing that matters, really, ultimately. So I'm certainly not going to be carrying on or moving forward or pressing forward after this, but that, and on my side, it has nothing to do with all the motifs that this genre of music has established under its traditional context. But you just have ultimately people who don't do shit, and then people who do shit, and then everybody else. The people who like to watch, and then the people who like to fucking show up later and act like they were helping, or whatever it is. I don't know. I'm talking up in the air now. I'm talking in circles a little bit. But what I am getting at, though, is that the underground artist and the underground scene is just that. It's underground, and it has its appeal. So if this is something that appeals to you, who would I be talking to right now? Maybe Gen Z or millennials or centennials? I'd be talking to them under the context of saying, like, you have to understand the context that I'm speaking on. You have to understand the perspective of someone my age that gets appealed to this genre of music, any underground music, and then years later is still into it. So, all that means is, it's not a personal thing. It's a personal thing when that's easily communicated based on my appearance. That anybody who takes one quick glance at me knows that they can assume that much. And also, whatever else that might pose itself as like potential dangers that's you leave that to the police and leave that to the government and the army and the armed forces. You don't have to, just like the same way that I'm assuming a bit of responsibility here, there must have been a bunch of other people assuming a lot of responsibility. I literally always know that my life is literally just exactly like a Pineapple Express film, with just like everybody fucking not communicating everything properly, and then everything gets all fucked up, and before you know it, it's actually really fucking bad. But luckily I did the episode on gaslighting, because that, and patronizing and being too self-critical, that ties into this and has a lot to do with this. But being an underground artist, I'm fine. I'm perfectly fine as an underground artist. Myself in person as an underground artist is perfectly fine. Nothing wrong here. What's really the not personal stuff that I'm the personal stuff that I'm not bringing here is, that's the pauses, that's the silences, that's these shitty fucking cockamamie ass episodes that I'm putting out with just the number of what episode it is with a white or black background and no fucking thrills, no bells and whistles, nothing special in it at all. That's just, I'm just going to call that more of my artistic edge at the end of it. By the time that's through, and by the time that's finished too, I'll just say that's just another one of my artistic edge. But as far as being into and wanting to know what's happening like in my daily life and all the personal stuff, you would have to simply revert back to all the content I create, and there's little hints and clues in there, and that's as much as I'm comfortable with giving away. Everything else that's not in there is exactly why I didn't talk about economy too much, because as we all know, those third parties collecting cookies and all that stuff, that's what I wanted to add into the episode. This fucking email I read the other day has all this information about this fucking thing that eventually it essentially, I guess, helps you fight against third parties trying to collect your cookies and data and information. And then what am I then reading this email to you on my content? A fucking robot? You would just be emailed to it yourself, or where would our thread be talking about that? It's like, it'd be for me to gain some more insight. If I wanted to gain some more insight, I'd just go directly to whatever web browser that I'm using. And there you have it, folks. There you have it right there. The big reveal on the last episode on the economy, it's just a giant fucking trap. And if you're good at it, you can play the game, I guess, but if I'm willing to call it a game, but it doesn't seem like much of a game to me. It seems all very serious, very stern, very strict, and very serious. A guy that, like me, that makes this serious kind of music that I make, I can't fucking handle doing all this seriousness afterwards. I don't know how I possibly could, but I did handle it, so here's where I am now with it. And so back onto the topic here, next up on what I want to say about underground is, it would be a stand-up comedian's place in this to be saying something like, well, that's why it's underground, because you don't want to talk about it, and then you just fucking turn me off, and then go, you turn your phone off, and then you walk and set it down and go walk away and go live your life, or go actually live your life or something. But I'm not going to be the only one that ever says this, that there's still plenty more that can be used in this orifice. and in this platform and in this channel, and to try to exist in this way where you're still creating content, because as I said 2 episodes back, I started my record label 14 years ago, and when I did that, that was because I was making content. So because I'm still making content right now, you know, I have that luxury, I guess, if I want to call it that, but I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't know where I would safely be able to, you know, legally I'll be fine. I don't know, I don't think I'm going to be very comfortable talking about much. However, I do have the next season all mapped out for you guys, ready to go, and this is actually episode 99, so we're reaching 100 fucking episodes. That's a big deal. So cheers to that. But from where I'm standing, you know, it just really looks like people are just giving up. Like, a lot of people are just like, you know, I'm required there. Wherever that is, I need to be there, because that's where I need to go and start asking questions and have the initiative to have you on the show. If you're comfortable with it, let me ask you these questions on my show. That's why I have certain people on the show. And I say, well, how long have you been doing this? And so on and so forth. It just, you would have to start there. I wouldn't be able to do anything at all without knowing how long you've been doing this. If everybody in the world fucking knew how long I've been doing this right now, well, then it would be a matter of there'd be millions of views and subscribers and etc., etc. But that's just a requirement. That's like a prerequisite. It's required that happens first. So when that happens, then I can get started. But I'm certainly not feeling like quitting anytime soon. I think that's a good attitude to have. Even if it's not useful here, it most likely that is an attitude that's not useful here, as is often the case. But I still have that attitude, so it's good. It's a good attitude to have. I'll still keep it. I'll keep the attitude. And I still find as well my own content quite enjoyable and pleasurable, and listening to my own stuff. I still enjoy listening to my own stuff when I get around to it. But, you know, while I'm busy making it and I'm in the process of creating content, I'm spending the time doing it the way that I'm doing it, to the point where I don't need to review most of the time. I don't need to review unless I'm reviewing. You know, it's like, that's because I'm not reviewing right now. When I review, then I'm doing review. Then I'm reviewing it. But I've seen people make videos and make content, and lived with people making videos and content, and just seen it recently too, where they take videos or something, and then they look at their video immediately after or something like that. I don't understand that, but I would advise against it. That would be one of my recommendations. Since nobody knows who I am or what I'm doing or anything at all, ever, for any fucking reason, you know, I have to say that, you know, wow, I'm aware now that that's how I sound. That I sound like I'm just totally, completely unsupportive. But anyway, especially with the way that the world's going, who could think of a better career to have? Who could think of a better passion to have? Especially that it's specifically a career and a source of income. That when you're doing this, and then having the fun aspect be on pause for as long as it has been for me, that's not even me dealing with my personal shit. It looks like I'm approaching the part where I can now start to begin entertaining the idea of possibly addressing some of my personal stuff. But it just is blatantly obvious. You know, somebody fucking robbed me from the very start of all the fun shit. as is often the case as well. But certain things, and this, while I'm continuing to do this, are going to be of aid and assistance, and are going to be my friend in that matter. And that's going to be how I mess with those conspiracy theory episodes. That's going to be, how I indulge in the music episodes, the ones that are about music. And how I actually feel about myself at the end of it all, or how I actually feel about myself at the end of the day, and how I feel about about how I feel about myself, stimulating certain parts of myself and feeding certain parts of myself with those history episodes where I'm learning history. I mean, doing some of those on the history and all that stuff, I don't know, it just seems like, me in my position, and other people as well in my position, what I'm currently seeking is other people like me in the same position as me. That I'm finding to be extremely difficult. So it looks like I'm going to have to put forth a little more time, because that energy, putting forth that energy part of it, that seems to be extremely futile. And I'm just going through some scenarios in my head here, because seeking the specific categories through the algorithm on X and Threads, that's already proved to not work. But as I said, put forth more time in it, and then it will grow, especially with my expertise. I'm requiring more time to locate the others right now. That's not that big of a deal. Especially when I find the others, it's fucking over with after that. Then it's fucking smooth sailing all downhill. But the time I'm putting forth into actually putting together the episodes, it's absolutely insignificant. I literally will sit there zombieing out watching garbage television. Remember I have to upload 2 episodes. Save the 2 episodes, upload them, and then continue watching garbage television on 7% battery. That just happened yesterday. So imagine if I can do that when I find the others, what it's going to be like. I don't think the world can handle that. Is that the kind of joke? It doesn't look like I have much else to say. Honestly, I think this episode might be tapped out, and if that is true, well then, me, myself, and the audience here, we are ready for episode fucking 100, bitches. As we approach episode 100 and get into season 8 of Vault of Doom podcast, I bid you all a good, fond farewell. I am Mickey Gemini. This is the Vault of Doom podcast. Here on this episode, just talking a little bit about those underground guys that I am, one of them underground guys, and how you should take little takeaway. You should take with you that do not confuse underground with indie or independent just because it sounds like it might work type of thing. But I have to go now. I have lots of time to fucking think about spending to find the others. Especially before I get into this one last thing, because I did want to say this. Thinking of the others from my position, that means not new people just starting out. I might spend a day or two, as you have seen on Instagram. If you check on my Instagram, you'll find a video where I'm actually walking through the process of starting a podcast with a new podcaster, someone who wants to make a podcast about conspiracy theories. And I offered my time, and we sat there and did a live stream, and we went through all the process. So if that's you, go revert to that video. It's on my Instagram. I can be found at Instagram @ Mickey Gemini. Just go find it. Go look for it. It's spelled differently, though. as for the going out part, that topic that I want to say is the others that I'm not looking to find are people who are like actual historians, and they like have been teaching for 20 years or something, and they're, the chances are they're going to be very upset and disgruntled with the fact that I'm able to basically teach a history class in my just wherever I am, wherever I may find myself. I can just bust out and start teaching history class and start teaching you about the Trail of Tears in the USA and shit. And then fucking your ass is grass. You're gonna be all angry and upset. But that's no different at all. In fact, I might have to exactly reference it to being almost precisely like 1963 Albert Hoffman LSD craze, when Haight-Ashbury, San Francisco, California. Well, I think I'm done. I think this is tapped out, guys. We're ready. We're ready for episode 100. Let's grind it out, pound it out, punch it out, smash it out, bunch it out. Bye.